RuneScape is a huge game with many different goals to aim for. This is part 3 of a video series talking about mid-level Ironman goals. In this video series, we're looking at useful and productive goals to aim for while you're progressing through the game as an Ironman. The first few videos of this series will be looking at quests. In the first video, we looked at quests that gives major unlocks. In the second video, we looked at gear unlocks. Today, we will be looking at quests that gives account unlocks. I had difficulty finding the right title to describe these unlocks. These are quests that gives you access to things that are more directly linked with your character. Maybe I should have called this miscellaneous unlocks. A quest that falls in this category is World Wakes, which gives you access to Sunshine and Death Swiftness, which are abilities for your character. We have already discussed this quest in the first video of this series, so we'll be going through it again. Please watch the first video in the series if you have not already for information on this quest. There are 7 account unlock quests in today's list. Number 1. Throne of Miscellania and Royal Trouble. Remember when I said there were 7 quests in this list just a second ago? Well, I lied. The first item in this list is actually 2 quests. Both quests revolve around unlocking the Managing Miscellania D&D. While Throne of Miscellania officially unlocks the D&D, by completing Royal Trouble, you get a boost in the reward of the D&D, which is why I included it in this list as well. Managing Miscellania allows you to manage the nation of Miscellania. You put money into a coffer, then assign workers to tasks around the island. The workers will gather resources for you and take money from the coffer as a salary. For non-Ironman, this is a good way to make passive GP. For Ironman, this allows us to get many resources which otherwise would be very tedious to obtain. There are 6 activities you can assign your workers to. The exact resource combination you select will depend on where you are with your account. Mining gets you coal and gems. Coal is much less useful post mining and smithing rework, which, by the way, have you heard about the mining and smithing rework? Despite being less useful, coal is used in making low tier bars and fueling the auto heater for AFK mining, so it is not completely useless. Mining gets you maple logs and bird nests, both of which are useful. Maple logs is something you can keep assigning workers for throughout your gameplay. The logs are useful for fletching and fire making in the mid game, and you can disassemble the logs for components to make divine charges in the late game. The flax and herb plots get you either flax or herbs. Surprise. Flax is actually nice to have as you can string the flax using Lunar spellbook. Strong bows gives better components than unstrong bows from disassembling. Herbs, while technically very inefficient, can be a nice option if you have no immediate need for any other resources. Fishing gets you tuna and swordfish, great for cooking experience and some mid-level food. Hardwood gets you teak and mahogany logs, which are great for construction training in combination with the plank make machine from Invention. Farming gets you a whole range of seeds. I think this is the least useful one out of all of these activities. Most of these seeds are useless, and you can get the necessary tree seeds from bird nests, which you can get by allocating workers to maple trees. Number 2. Tears of Guthix. Tears of Guthix quest unlocks the Tears of Guthix D&D, which allows you once per week collect tears in the cave behind Juna, which gives you experience in your lowest skill. This is super useful since there are many difficult skills to level up in the early game. For example, Herblore, Summoning, Prayer. It is very useful to have Tears of Guthix providing free experience to get you those beginner levels. The experience rate does quickly fall off, so it is advised to get this as early as possible to make the most use out of this D&D. Jagex has added something called Ornate Bowl to the D&D. Ornate Bowl requires 80 mining and 80 crafting to make, and after you make the Ornate Bowl, the max experience per tier goes up from 180 to 300. This might still be quite low for most players who have 80 mining and crafting, but it may tip the balance for whether it is worth it for you to keep doing this D&D. Number 3. Smoking Kills. Smoking Kills is a death quest that can be started by speaking to Simona, the Slayer Master. Given that this quest is given by the Slayer Master, it has some really great Slayer rewards. There are 2 main benefits for completing this quest. One benefit is that it will allow you to construct Slayer items such as the Slayer Helm. The second one is the ability to earn more Slayer points per task. Slayer Helmet is great. It lets you use the damage boost from Black Mask, Hexcrest, and Focus Sight on tasks that require specific headgear such as Banshee or Aberrant Spectrus. The second benefit is Slayer Points. Slayer Points is pretty essential for Slayer training, and getting more of it is always better. You will need quite a lot of Slayer Points in skipping and blocking tasks, as well as buying various unlocks from the Slayer Point store. It is therefore recommended to get this quest done as early in your Slayer journey as possible. Number 4. King's Ransom. King's Ransom is the final quest in the Camelot questline. While the quest itself gives nothing useful as a reward, it does allow you access to the Night Wave's training ground, which unlocks the prayer Chivalry, Piety, Rigor, and Augury. Chivalry gives plus 7 levels and plus 7% damage boost for melee. Piety gives plus 8 levels and plus 8% damage boost for melee. Rigor and Augury are the ranged and mage equivalent for Piety, giving plus 8 levels and plus 8% damage boost for ranged and magic respectively. These are all super useful damage boosting prayers, and you should use these prayers whenever possible to increase your damage output. These will help you out a lot when you begin to kill bosses as well. These prayers are the reason why you should stick with normal prayers until level 95 prayer before switching to curses. Without Turmoil and its equivalent for mage and ranged at level 95 prayer, normal prayer is much stronger with the use of Piety, Rigor, and Augury. Number 5. Temple at Senntisten. Speaking of prayers and curses, Temple of Senntisten is the quest that unlocks ancient curses. I have mentioned before that mid-game curses is a trap. Normal prayer with Piety, Rigor, and Augury is much stronger than curses without Turmoil, Anguish, and Torment, which is unlocked at level 95 prayer. Even when you are at level 92 with Soul Split, in the majority of situations, it is better to have a strong stat boosting prayer rather than Soul Split for healing. However, this is still a worthwhile goal to work towards, just so you have the prayer book available once you do reach level 95 prayer. It is also worth noting that there are some circumstances where curses is helpful outside of Soul Split, Turmoil, Anguish, and Torment. That is the use of Leech prayers in combination with the Amulet of Zealots. When you have 100% hit chance by using Leech prayer with this amulet, the overall effect will be even stronger than the Number 6. Lunar Diplomacy and Dream Mentor. This is the second time Lunar Diplomacy has appeared in this guide, and spoilers, it will not be the last. In the last video, we talked about Lunar Diplomacy as a way to unlock tier 60 magic gear. Now, we want to talk about the spells Lunar Diplomacy unlocks. The Lunar spell book is unlocked in 2 parts. You get the majority of the spells by completing Lunar Diplomacy, then you get 10 more with Dream Mentor. You get another few spells by doing Livid farming, but since this video is focused on quests, we will be discussing those spells in a later video. The Lunar spell book contains some very useful spells for an Ironman. I will just list 3 examples here. With Lunar spellbook, you can cast Fertile Soil, which will save you Super Compost on your farm runs. Spin Flax, which is a very quick way to convert your flax to bowstrings. Magic Imbue, which is nice to make combination runes such as Mud runes, which you will need for Herblore training. Number 7. Desert Treasure. I probably don't need to explain Desert Treasure since it's such an iconic quest, but just in case you're someone who have never played RuneScape main before, Desert Treasure unlocks the Ancient Magic spellbook. Ancient Magic is predominantly known for its more versatile combat spells such as the Blood and Ice spells, which can heal and freeze your enemies respectively. The spellbook has gotten spell additions with Seren spells after completing the Light Within quest, and Senntisten spells after completing City of Senntisten. However, the spells you unlock from those 2 quests are much more niche, which is why we won't be discussing those 2 quests in this video. If you haven't done much combat, do know that both Blood and Ice spells are still very useful, with both of them retaining the effects within the evolution of combat mechanic. With the use of abilities, the special effect of a spell now has a percentage chance of happening per ability. If you are on Legacy, the ability does occur 100% of the time. This makes Legacy Blood Barrage a viable method of killing certain monsters where you need to AoE heal. It is a bit more difficult for an Ironman to supply the runes to use Ancient Magic, so you do need to be mindful where you use it. Using abilities will consume runes when the special effect is triggered. Using Legacy will consume runes on every single cast. For many players, Ancient spells will fall into the same situation as Ancient Curses, where you won't be able to fully utilize the unlocks until much later in the game. Regardless, this is an iconic unlock for any account, so I've put it in this list even if the majority of Ironman won't be able to make use of the spells immediately upon finishing the quest. This brings us to the end of this video. We have gone through 7 different account unlocks you can aim for as an Ironman through 9 different quests. I hope this video has been helpful. If it has, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.